Happiness isn't something we stumble into. It's something we create moment by moment with the little choices we make. And honestly, it doesn't always look like fireworks or huge victories. Sometimes happiness is gentle, quiet, and easy to miss if you're not paying attention. So today I want to share how you can be happy every single day, not by changing your whole life overnight, but by changing the way you let life meet you. First, choose small joys over perfect days. Life will never sit still long enough to become perfect, and thank goodness for that. We'd be so bored. But every day gives you at least one tiny moment that feels like sunlight. Maybe it's your favorite coffee. Maybe it's being proud of yourself for waking up early. Maybe it's laughing at something dumb with someone you love. If you learn to look for these small joys, you'll start realizing they're everywhere. Waiting for you choosing small joys over chasing perfect days is one of the most powerful ways to create real, steady happiness in your life. We grow up believing happiness is supposed to look big, loud, and cinematic, like some perfectly edited moment where everything finally makes sense. But real life doesn't work like that, and honestly, it shouldn't. Happiness isn't a perfect day arriving on schedule. It's made of tiny moments you allow yourself to feel even on the days that aren't going your way. When you start embracing small joys, you stop waiting for happiness to happen, and you start creating it with your own hands. Small joys are simple, they're soft, they're the moments you often overlook because they don't demand attention. But these tiny pieces of joy are what keep you grounded, hopeful, and human, waking up and feeling your favorite blanket around you. That first sip of your morning drink that makes your shoulders relax. Hearing a song you forgot you loved. Laughing at something silly. Feeling proud of yourself for getting through a hard moment, even if no one else noticed it. These aren't coincidences. They're little gifts life sends you every day. When you stop rushing past them, you start realizing you're surrounded by happiness you never gave yourself time to feel. The pressure to have perfect days makes people believe something big has to happen for the day to count. You need to achieve something huge, fix everything at once, or reach some unrealistic version of success. But that mindset steals your joy. It makes you think you have to earn happiness instead of letting yourself experience it. It teaches you to ignore everything good because you're focused on everything that's missing. But life doesn't become perfect in one moment. It becomes meaningful through dozens of little ones. And when you let those little ones matter, your entire world starts to feel different. Choose small joys also trains your mind to pay attention to what's real instead of what's wrong. You stop letting stressful moments define your whole day. You stop letting one bad conversation or one mistake erase everything else. Instead, you begin to see the balance, the fact that even on a rough day, there were tiny moments of peace, comfort, humor, or beauty. You might not control everything that happens to you, but you absolutely control what moments you let your heart hold on to. If you choose to hold on to the small joys, you create a softer, calmer emotional world inside yourself. And the beautiful thing is, those tiny joys start to multiply. The more you notice them, the more you find. You train your brain to search for light instead of shadows. You learn that happiness isn't waiting at the finish line of your goals. It's right here, right now, showing up in small ways, asking you to notice it. Suddenly, your day feels fuller because you're not skipping past the good parts. You're letting them matter. Small joys also help you through difficult days. When life feels heavy, you don't have to pretend everything is fine, but you can still let yourself feel grateful for that one comforting moment, that breath of fresh air, that favorite snack, that text from someone who cares, that quiet second when your mind stops racing. These little things don't erase the difficult parts, but they remind you that life isn't just one feeling. There is always some piece of light somewhere. Happiness becomes a thread you can hold on to, even when everything else feels uncertain. The truth is, perfect days don't make you happier. Real days do. Messy days with moments that surprise you. Normal days with sparks of joy. Stressful days with soft corners. When you stop chasing perfection, you start appreciating reality. And that's when happiness feels more natural, stable, and honest. So choosing small joys isn't settling for less. It's actually opening your eyes to more beauty, more softness, more gratitude, more moments that make you feel alive. It's choosing to give your heart permission to feel good without waiting for a perfect moment. It's accepting that happiness is something you build quietly, consistently, through the little things that make you smile without even realizing it. And when you live this way, every day has something to offer you. Every day gives you a reason to feel thankful. Every day holds a touch of light. And that's the secret to being happy, not someday, but today and every day after. Protecting your energy is one of the most transformative choices you can make for your happiness. It's not about shutting people out or becoming hard. It's about understanding that your peace is valuable and not everyone or everything deserves the power to disturb it. When you learn to set soft boundaries, you stop living in reaction to the world and start living from a place of intention. You begin choosing what deserves space in your mind, your time, and your heart, and that choice changes everything. Most of us grow up believing we have to be available for everyone, say yes to everything, and carry emotions that don't even belong to us. We think being kind means being endlessly open, endlessly giving, endlessly forgiving. But that idea slowly drains your energy and makes you feel overwhelmed, invisible, or stretched too thin. The truth is, you cannot be happy if you're constantly giving away pieces of yourself until you feel empty. Protecting your energy means respecting your own limits, listening to your own needs, and recognizing when something or someone is taking more than they give. Setting boundaries doesn't need to be loud or confrontational. It can be soft, steady, and gentle, but firm. It can look like not replying to messages the second they come in because you need a moment to breathe. It can look like saying no to plans when you're tired. It can look like stepping away from conversations that drain you. It can look like choosing silence instead of arguing with someone who only wants to be right, not understanding. It can look like giving yourself permission to be alone when your soul needs space. One of the biggest reasons people struggle to protect their energy is fear of disappointing others, fear of being judged, fear of seeming distant. But the real question is, why are other people's emotions more important than your own? Why is their comfort worth more than your peace? When you start valuing yourself the same way you value others, you stop apologizing for needing space. You start realizing that the people who truly care about you will never punish you for taking care of your mental and emotional well-being. When you protect your energy, you also become more selective about what you let into your life. You begin to recognize which relationships lift you up and which ones drain you. You start seeing which environments make you feel calm and which ones make you shrink. You understand your triggers, your boundaries, your emotional rhythms. Instead of forcing yourself into situations that feel heavy or uncomfortable, you choose environments that support your growth, your peace, and your happiness. You also become more mindful of your own thoughts. Protecting your energy isn't just about people. It's about protecting yourself from the stories you tell yourself. Overthinking, self-criticism, replaying old mistakes, comparing your life to someone else's. These things drain your energy too. When you set boundaries with your own mind, you stop letting negativity take the wheel. You learn to interrupt unkind thoughts, to question them, to replace them with something gentler and more truthful. You realize you deserve patience from yourself, not punishment. And the beautiful thing is, protecting your energy makes you a better version of yourself, more present, more grounded, more emotionally balanced. When you're not overwhelmed, you can show up with genuine enthusiasm, not forced effort. When you're not burnt out, you can give your best without feeling resentful. When your energy is safe, your joy becomes stronger, your clarity becomes sharper, and your confidence grows. You start feeling more like yourself, not a version of yourself that's been stretched thin for too long. One of the most healing parts of protecting your energy is learning to let people react however they want without making it your responsibility. Not everyone will understand your boundaries. Not everyone will agree with them. That's okay. Their reaction belongs to them, not you. Your only job is to honor your own needs. You don't have to explain yourself endlessly. You don't have to justify what feels right to your heart. You don't need permission to protect your peace. And slowly, you begin attracting people who respect your boundaries, who encourage your rest, who understand when you need space, who don't ask you to shrink so they can feel bigger. You create relationships built on respect, not pressure. You create a life that feels lighter, calmer, and more aligned with who you truly are. Protecting your energy is an act of self-love, but it's also an act of courage. It requires you to choose yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. It asks you to trust that your well-being matters. And when you finally accept that deeply, honestly, happiness becomes less of a struggle and more of a natural state. Because peace is the foundation of joy, and when your energy is safe, your heart finally has room to feel happy every single day. Celebrating your growth, even the quiet parts, is one of the most underrated forms of happiness. We're taught to only acknowledge ourselves when something big happens, when we win, when we succeed, when the world claps for us. But most growth doesn't look like a spotlight moment. Most growth is subtle, private, and slow. It happens in the quiet spaces where no one is watching. It happens in the choices you make every day, the ones that seem small but actually change who you're becoming. And when you learn to celebrate those moments, you stop measuring your worth by how loudly the world applauds, and you start recognizing the strength you carry inside yourself. Growth doesn't always feel like progress. Sometimes it feels like struggle. Sometimes it feels like confusion. Sometimes it feels like taking 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. But even then, something inside you is shifting. You're learning. You're becoming more aware. You're understanding what hurts you, what heals you, what moves you, what matters to you. Growth is rarely neat or pretty, but it's always meaningful. And the sooner you realize that, the more compassion you'll have for yourself. There are moments you grow simply by choosing to stay soft in a world that tries to make you hard. There's growth in walking away from something that once had control over you. There's growth in expressing your feelings instead of swallowing them. There's growth in saying no without guilt. There's growth in trying again after failing. None of these moments get posted online. No one gives you a medal for them. But they matter. They shape your character. They make you stronger in ways no one else might understand. The reason people overlook their own growth is because they're always comparing themselves to someone else's journey. Someone else seems farther. Someone else seems more successful. Someone else seems more confident or polished or put together. But comparison hides your progress. It convinces you that what you're doing isn't enough, even when you're quietly rebuilding your entire life. When you stop looking sideways and start looking inward, you begin to see how far you've actually come. You see the battles you've fought, the habits you've changed, the emotions you've learned to handle, the mindset you've strengthened. Celebrating your growth also means acknowledging that your healing doesn't need to be dramatic to be real. Sometimes the bravest thing you do in a day is get out of bed. Sometimes it's choosing kindness when you're tired. Sometimes it's forgiving someone even though the hurt still stings. Sometimes it's forgiving yourself. Sometimes it's letting a moment go before it ruins your mood. These little acts are proof that you're evolving, maybe not loudly, but beautifully. You deserve to honor these moments instead of dismissing them. You deserve to say, I'm proud of myself, even when no one else knows what you went through. You deserve to recognize the strength it took to do things differently than you used to. You deserve to celebrate the small decisions that helped you become braver, softer, wiser, or calmer. When you begin to appreciate your quiet growth, something powerful happens. You stop rushing your life. You stop expecting overnight transformations. You stop being angry with yourself for not being perfect. Instead, you start trusting the process. You start enjoying the journey. You start seeing yourself as someone capable of becoming more, not someone who constantly falls short. And with that shift comes a sense of peace that feels like real happiness, the kind that lasts. Another beautiful thing about celebrating your growth is that it teaches you patience. You realize that becoming the person you want to be takes time, and that's not a failure. It's normal. It's human. You learn to be gentle with yourself during the messy chapters. You learn to give yourself grace instead of judgment. Every lesson becomes valuable. Every setback becomes part of your story. Every step, even the slow ones, becomes progress. Your growth might not always make sense to the people around you. They may not see the invisible battles you fight or the silent resilience you carry, but you feel it, and you feel it. And that's enough. Validation from others is temporary. Recognition from yourself is transformative. When you give yourself permission to be proud, you build a relationship with yourself that's rooted in respect. And the truth is, happiness follows growth, not because you've arrived, but because you've learned to acknowledge every step of the journey. You find joy in becoming, not just achieving. You find peace in knowing that even on your quiet days, you're still moving forward. When you celebrate your growth, you give meaning to your struggles, purpose to your patience, and strength to your heart. You deserve to feel proud of the person you are and the person you're becoming, especially in the moments when your growth whispers instead of shouts. Staying present and letting life surprise you is a powerful way to create genuine happiness. Most of the stress, fear, and heaviness we feel comes from living everywhere except the current moment. We replay the past, worrying about what we could have done differently, or we jump ahead to the future, imagining every possible thing that could go wrong. But the present, the quiet, simple, real moment you're in, is where life actually happens. It's where joy appears, often softly and unexpectedly. When you learn to stay present, you stop missing the magic that's already happening around you. Being present doesn't mean your life suddenly becomes peaceful or perfect. It means you allow yourself to experience it fully without trying to rush through it or control everything. So much happiness is lost when you're mentally somewhere else. Think of how many moments you've lived through that you didn't actually feel because you were distracted, stressed, or focused on something else. Learning to stay present is about giving yourself permission to be here, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but right now. One of the most beautiful things about being present is that it helps you notice small details that bring joy. The way the sunlight hits the floor, the way someone smiles at you, the feeling of warm air on your skin, the sound of laughter in the background, the quiet comfort of your own breath. These tiny moments are easy to ignore, but when you pay attention, they become reminders that life is richer than you realize. Happiness doesn't need to be dramatic. It often hides in the moments that feel ordinary until you give them your full attention. When you stay present, you also stop trying to control every outcome. You allow life to unfold naturally instead of forcing it to fit your expectations. A lot of frustration comes from wanting things to happen exactly the way you imagine, but some of the best parts of life are the ones you never planned. The unexpected conversation that shifts your perspective, the opportunity that shows up out of nowhere, the moment that makes you laugh when you least expect it. When you let life surprise you, you create space for joy to appear in ways you wouldn't have thought of on your own. Being present also helps with emotional balance. Instead of getting lost in future worries or past regrets, you learn to deal with what's in front of you, not what might happen, not what already happened. You handle life in smaller, gentler pieces. You realize that most fears live in your imagination, not in your actual reality. When you focus on the moment you're in, things feel less overwhelming, problems become manageable, stress becomes quieter. You start to breathe easier because you're not carrying the weight of everything all at once. Another important part of staying present is learning to let go of the need to rush. We're always trying to get to the next thing, the next goal, the next accomplishment, the next chapter. But when you're always racing forward, you miss the beauty of where you are. Progress isn't meant to be a sprint. Life isn't meant to be lived on fast forward. When you slow down, you start noticing the things that make your journey meaningful. You begin to appreciate what you have instead of constantly chasing what's next. Letting life surprise you also means being open to change. Not every plan will work out. Not every path will be smooth. But sometimes the detours lead you somewhere better than the destination you had in mind. When you stop resisting the unexpected, you start flowing with it. You become more adaptable, more hopeful, more willing to believe that good things can appear without warning. And that openness creates room for new experiences, new connections, and new forms of happiness. Staying present doesn't require perfection. It just requires awareness. It's choosing to notice instead of rushing past. It's choosing to breathe instead of overthink. It's choosing to feel instead of numb yourself. It's choosing to trust that the moment you're in is enough. And the more you practice this, the easier it becomes. You build a habit of presence, a habit of calm, a habit of gratitude. When you live in the present, happiness becomes something you experience, not something you chase. You begin to feel more grounded, more connected to your life, more open to the unexpected joy waiting for you. You stop trying to predict everything and start letting life meet you with moments you could never have planned. And the truth is, the present moment is the only place where happiness can exist. You can't feel joy in the past. It's already gone. You can't feel joy in the future. It hasn't arrived yet, but you can feel joy right now. You can let life surprise you right now. You can choose to be here fully, completely, honestly. And when you do, you realize something powerful. The more present you are, the more alive you feel. The more alive you feel, the happier you become. And happiness in its purest form is just the ability to appreciate the moment you're in, exactly as it is.